Miracle is struggling in this series. Feels similar to our previous series where Ballistics had the upper hand on Ace, had that 2-0 lead, then smashed them in game 3. I feel like we're heading down a similar path, G-Clef.
Well, I can't disagree with you, but Miracle's really having a tough trouble sustaining their front one. I think Judy's having his toughest time of his life so far in HGC. It was okay when his pick was in the meta, when it was okay with Garrosh and Stitches sometimes, but right now, you really have to learn the new ones and really have to sustain. I don't think it's the problem from the back line, but it starts from the front line, where he's at, taking way too much damage unnecessarily. I think that's where it all starts. But he has to position himself a little bit closer to the team, maybe just sustaining. Maybe they need to change a few things starting from the picks. I think it really does not work perfectly against what BlossoM is thinking. BlossoM just is ahead of at least by 2-3 steps when they're thinking in draft.
Yeah, I feel like if you are so bent on using the Garrosh, then you should probably just first pick it if Judy really wants to use Garrosh that badly, because the play we saw there in game number 2 with the Muradin not inspiring, not able to gank or pressure Sonya in the top lane. There were some decision-making errors obviously as well. Crazy Moving was the shot caller. You and I were talking about that in the break for MVP Miracle. Now that they've that he's left the team, I think that it feels like that's missing for sure. BlossoM will have map pick. They will choose Tomb of the Spider Queen.
And their favorite map to actually play all the time. And let's see what kind of... They used to love Vala on this map. Since the Vala is kind of fading out of the meta right now along with Ariel. I wonder what they're going to pick. Maybe they will just bring their old favorite, sometimes Chromie, to have that burst damage. Of course, we see new Chromies. I don't know if you're going to see in Korea too much. We see lots of trap Chromies instead of the Talon, the auto attack talent now. So maybe that's going to be a thing very soon, but we'll wait and see if Chromie's picked from BlossoM at all.
Well, I'd love to personally see Dudu's Sergeant Hammer here. What we saw back in the early part of 2017, a lot of Sergeant Hammer in Korea. Dudu picked it, but I think it's pretty unlikely. Wave Clear is going to be the name of the game. This is the map where solo lane actually matters the least. So the Sonya picks that Wiz dominated with in games 1 and 2 are not going to be as powerful here. They may come up regardless because the solo lane still exists. It's just not far away, so that kind of pressure isn't as effective. A Miracle will take first ban. This will be their second time in a row to have control of first pick. Last game, they banned the Hanzo away and took the Greymane. We'll see if that trend continues here. There's a lot of discussion going on here. Look to ban the Genji.
It seems like they want to take Hanzo themselves here, as Avatar is still banned so many times. I can't even remember how many times now, maybe 15, 16 times in all HGC.
Banned, not going to allow it. I think that was definitely the plan, was to grab the Hanzo here. They'll take the Greymane instead, and now they've kind of locked up DPS, right? We've seen majority of games, each team has one of the three, right? Greymane, Genji, or Hanzo. And now that Miracle has locked up the DPS in that way, it is going to force a little bit of creativity out of BlossoM, who've used the Greymane, then the Genji. Going to commit again to Wiz's Sonya, so 3 for 3 on one of his best heroes.
And this is also one of the best map for Garrosh. But with Sonya, I think Sonya was the problem for Garrosh when he was landed with the Poison Spear. He was already losing like 30% of his HP. Even with the armor, he didn't even really have time to build up his armor because that's burst damage picking on him right there. So I think he should really move away from Garrosh and pick something else like an ETC. Have that early rotation, which Miracle is very good at. This is an old map, they're good at it, and they're always strong in the beginning of the game. Take that advantage, take ETC, and make it even stronger. I think that's a good way of approaching here.
Yeah, I think ETC is certainly the best pick here. Problems being that it's not necessarily a comfort pick for Judy, and that's been an issue throughout today. I think also Uther is a very strong pick here. Like Uther DC has a strong pairing, and it also works against the Sonya. If they wanted to go double support, you know, it's one of those things that you can use. Stukov is a bit of a surprising pick. And I like the pickup of Garrosh early if they're going to grab it, because otherwise it likely would have been banned here by BlossoM. They take another tank away. So they're confident in this Garrosh. Has not worked for them yet. Stukov, another one of those heroes that has that slow sustained healing similar to Jaehyun's Malfurion in the first map, where if you can get the heals off, you bunch up, you have this sudden burst healing that takes a while to build up. So during that build up, before he uses his bio kill switch, Garrosh's armor theoretically could keep him alive. Let's see what BlossoM wants to bring out in terms of burst though, because that's been the issue for this slow healing for the tanks that Judy has been playing.
I thought BlossoM was thinking of picking up Rag for themselves here, but they will be banning. It seems like they have something else planned, and Miracle is thinking of a Medivh again after taking that pain in game number 1. That's a good way of thinking. Also, the portal sometimes provide that extra utility for all the members. The switching from lane to lane. That happened multiple times, even in BlizzCon, oftentimes mid-season.
Yeah, I feel like a Medivh ETC would have been a strong rotation for BlossoM. Saved their DPS for the final pick. Get so much power rotationally in the early game that way. The Medivh is not a must pick here by any means, just a respect pick coming in here against the Medivh we saw already this series. Now, BlossoM has a lot of options, and none of them are standout picks. The big one in terms of tanks is they have the opportunity to choose ETC for the early game rotations you were talking about. That get you picks oftentimes just via power slides. Stukov gets out of position, bam, dead. Garrosh tries to be a little bit aggressive, tries to get that grab. His armor might save him, but...
I think Stitches is also okay if they're willing to do so. Just have Gorge one and then Speed Boost with Lucio, just toss it over the wall and just burst it down.
This is the map, yeah, this is the map where your walls last the longest, so it's the best map for Gorge. So you will have those walls to toss members behind when you do reach 10, whereas on the maps, your walls might not even really be up by then. That's a you know, kind of a funny, specific to player hero pick that we could see here with the Stitches. No follow-up stuns really at the moment.
Okay, they will actually hide their frontline tank and pick up Gul'dan and Cassie at the same time, which is, I think, okay. Well, Gul'dan has to be careful depending on the last 2 picks of Miracle, because he will not have that protection like Medivh last time. Not bad for wave player, but in terms of sustain, Lucio alone may not be enough, but has to be enough with the tank last spot only.
A lot of risk involved in trying to get a strong solo laner like a Malthael here against Horrify.
See, that's the thing. Like, if Miracle had a Nubarok instead of Garrosh, they would have won this draft already by having Lucio alone, because they can actually focus on Gul'dan so easy.
Okay, it's going to be the Jaina coming through with Leoric, so they're trying to operate via burst. Lucio's healing output is slow, just like Stukov's. It's not a burst healer. Can, with Amp It Up, heal pretty quickly, but there's not a huge combo potential with this comp like we saw yesterday from Tempest. Same map, very different draft, and even with a good Entomb, you're not guaranteed with a Frost combo or anything like that to get that burst kill.
And Tempest has a lot more burst damage, and without crazy moving his waifu Jaina, it may not work. Gunja just coming in here. Jaina will provide some burst, but there's going to be a sound barrier to last that long, and Sonya may be the one actually taking down Jaina meanwhile.
Now the Jaina pick here is very risky. Garrosh's peel is going to have to be incredible. They've got a tank top laner again with Leoric, so gives them a secondary peel. This is the kind of DPS I wanted to see with Garrosh in game number 1, where they decided to go with the Genji and Drunkrat instead.
I thought you said Drunkrat.
Well, felt that way after watching game 1, but ETC,
perfect pick.
We knew this was likely going to be the frontliner. They wanted to make sure it was a safe pick before they locked it in. And ETC might take crowd surf here on this map. Seems unlikely based on how they played it in game number 1, but a possibility. Can help them a lot with Entombs, and then the combos that they're trying to set up, that burst damage coming through from Miracle will be less effective. And I'm glad you mentioned the Jaina of Crazy Moving was second to Sake only back in 2015 when Jaina was the meta pick to go to. But now I wonder, can Sniper pick up the torch, or will it be Gunza? It's a tough question. We'll find the answer in a moment as to who will be playing that Jaina. It feels like the drafting has once again been safer for BlossoM, but this Jaina does also cheapen the Cassia pick, and it is going to be Gunza on that Jaina, as you predicted. Sniper going back to the more familiar Grey main.
Let's
so
see.
the blind not going to be effective, obviously, against Jaina's damage. That's another reason why she fits the bill here.
10 seconds.
I mean, thank you very much, announcer. I can see the timer.
With Leoric, it's going to be a tough matchup again. Not going. I think it's going to be so much easier compared to the Haka to go against Sonya, and just Sonya was just dominating lane, and Wiz has been the one who has been often just dominating the lane, except for the top 3 teams. He's one of the best solo laners in Korea. Maybe he can. I think he has that potential to also contest against all the against Jungha, even Black and Tempest.
I mean, I think we might be getting there. I'm not as confident in making a statement like that as you are, as Dudu does finally get caught by Judy's toss here and taken out. But I think there's arguments to be made for how well he's been playing today. I think he's absolutely outperforming what we're seeing out of Miracle. So let's see how this pans out in this map right now. We are going to see Jaina do a similar build thus far to what we saw yesterday from Tempest.
They are going for that burst damage, and along with Grammy, maybe he will be able to take some kills. So lots of pressure onto Lucio. He tries to do that sound barrier at the perfect timing to save cooldown, either cooldown Sonya or Cassia, or sometimes even ETC when he's stuck in Tomb if he does not take Crowd Surfer.
Yeah. We do see Gul'dan is going for the Echoed Corruption level 1, so going to be looking for a more late game focused build. That's very difficult to hit. Obviously you can poke a lot with that and you'll build stacks that way, but you've got to be careful. It's a good balance. You have to kind of walk to make sure you get enough stacks fast enough, but also don't overextend trying to do so. But it becomes very powerful in late game team fights because of the Echo. You do twice as much damage, especially with these double tank, you know, that they're running with the Garrosh and the Leoric.
Ooh, BlossoM looking for that party bush onto. Not gonna happen, as it's right now at the game, all the structures out there. It's very easy to spot where they are exactly.
Okay, huge silence here with the slow onto Dudu coming from that chill. Double mini stun coming through here. And for the first time in this series, Wiz is not able to dominate a lane. The rotations have been very aggressive for Miracle. They're doing what an ETC comp normally would do on this map, is run around and look for picks. Garrosh is the way they're trying to do it with the burst damage they have in this early game from Jaina. It goes into Arcane Intellect here again at level 4.
Right now, BlossoM does not have the most damage as in burst in, just break in and get a kill. So even with an ETC, they can't really go around and try to look for picks, which is a lot harder right now for BlossoM. But after level 7, there will be a time for them to get those power spikes.
Yeah. BlossoM is also going to have a much better time at dealing with these types of fights once they get Horrify, Sound Barrier. Sound Barrier can mitigate a lot of this burst damage. I think the comp for Miracle is much better suited to the early game. And that's exactly what they're trying to do with it, is dominate with this Garrosh pick. Lane swap, bully Wiz, don't let him do anything, and that's kind of what we're seeing here. Because when you do things like this, oftentimes you get ganked, right? When you heavily commit to a solo lane like this to bully. But on this map, they have Garrosh, and they've controlled these lanes, and Garrosh is always in the right spot. Judy going back to his comfort pick hero here on the Garrosh and showing us, you know, how well he can play it to deny those rotations. Very tense moment as both teams are about ready for this turn-in. The first one will especially be horrible for Miracle because BlossoM just needs to survive this early game. If they get the first turn-in, it makes it so much easier to do so.
Yeah, Miracle just got enough, more than enough to turn in and to summon the web weavers. And BlossoM has been holding in somewhat. I wonder who's holding in the most. I don't see too many holding in from the other members. Maybe
it's pretty
Sonya.
evenly distributed, I guess. Yeah, Sonya has the most.
There's a harsh life for the kill. There's a big blind on the Jaina. Jaina's gone without the damage.
And just not a large health pool and not enough. They're just going to get the healing up in time. It's going to be a trade, though, as again, we see Judy grabs a toss here, gets his quest at 409. They have that annoying, frustrating push to the bot lane. Dudu's going to get this turn in. That's so huge for BlossoM to get the first turn in. Despite them losing ETC second there, the trade was enough to get that first turn in. It's all about surviving through this aggressive rotation and bullying that we're seeing from Miracle. Go to the longer fights where they have Horrify, the longer sustained damage from Gul'dan, sustained healing from Lucio plus Sound Barrier. You just have this comp that's looking to last in fights. If they can blow up one target, they'll win the longer fight. So this is so huge for BlossoM.
They have so much poke from the side, and Miracle really needs to be careful because the poke will basically just push them off, and the walls will be destroyed. The structure will create lots of room for Sonya to go in and do what Sonya does the best: just lands on that spear and try to look for the kill.
Power slide there from Gondar
to just trying to trade the skills and just try to delay
baited.
as much as possible.
Baited.
Is this baited? I think Sniper is looking for the kill though.
Good power slide.
Coming from the side. Yes, they do get it.
Okay, so it's a very good bait attempt by BlossoM, but Miracle is actually thinking one step ahead. So that was what BlossoM tried to trick him into going into range to die there, but Miracle was already like saw one step further ahead and had the faster rotation. That pick is what Miracle wants to use to get this turn in. They do not want to allow back-to-backs. Nasong harassing right now. Another great power slide from Gondar. Judy in trouble here. Even though we don't have the damage from Gul'dan, it's enough, it looks like, for Judy to go down. Ends up being a trade yet again here.
It always becomes a trade, even without a Gul'dan, because BlossoM, they, except for Gul'dan, basically all of them except for Lucy also, has to go in to pick up the kill. It's really hard, even for a Gul'dan with the corruption, because it's damage over time. You can't really pick up the kill when there's damage over healing, or healing over time from the other side with the Stukov, and also the fountain will help. So they have to go in, and meanwhile, Miracle, Garrosh will actually get lots of good chances to make that and turn that around to make that into a trade. That's what's been happening so far.
Yeah. So they finally get this turn in. That was super important. To lose both turn-ins would just totally crush their chances of dominating and snowballing this game. They can take this turn-in as they get level 10 and try to really snowball this game with it to control the mid-game. 10 will be up for BlossoM. So it's not like they're going to have this talent tier advantage. They will for just a few seconds here. Need to be careful because in just a second, Horrify is going to be ready. And that's exactly what Modern Life is looking to use. 10's up, Horrify's in. Looking for an angle here. Miracle backs away wisely as this continues to poke and do damage to BlossoM.
And Entomb is already used, so that's going to relieve some pressure onto BlossoM as they're defending right now. BTC may be looking into a mosh pit potential when they're into that wall.
Wiz coming for the flank. Be a huge opportunity. There's the sound barrier. Gondar wanted the mosh pit, didn't get the angle you looked for, but there it is, trapping Greymane. But look at the Ring of Frost. Huge silence on top of it. It's now again a 1-for-1 trade here. DPS for tank. This does buy enough time for this top web to get an extra fort. Look at the bottom fort as well. Very heavily pressured here. But did this do enough damage to snowball the game like Miracle wants is the question, even with all favorable situations there for them in terms of the Ring of Frost landing there with the silence. I'm a little bit worried. This is going to become less and less effective as time goes on. Imagine a sound barrier even better timed for that moment of burst, and BlossoM wins that fight every time.
Judy actually did play all his part here. He knew the mosh pit was coming and taunted ETC, bought that much time for the silence to come in later, and also to destroy the timing of that mosh pit. Actually let his teammate dodge, move away from that range. That was well played by Garrosh.
Dudu looking to come in here and grab this turn in. Not going to be enough. Only going to get them to 49 if he had gotten that in, so risky position here. Lot of Echoed Corruption stacks coming through, using this toss to try to get a power slide. Nasong is Lucio, stuck in here, but will eventually get through. Wiz commits to the fight. Judy's already cleansed. BlossoM is just going to continue to control this zone. Down half a level, same talent tier right now, trying to force a fight defensively.
And mosh pit is not back, and Sonya had to use that right before. When everything's available for Miracle, Entomb is the only one that's out.
It's crazy to see the damage over time versus healing over time. Ring of Frost dodged here by Wiz and Dudu. Sound barrier comes down. Horrify not very good. Does isolate only one member here, but the retreat is real. Burst damage coming through. And Modern Life just can't get into range. This is actually a win for Miracle.
Nice into the fray, securing the position of Greymane for his teammate. Actually, Judy's playing his best right now as
Absolutely.
a Garrosh.
Oh no, Modern Life is caught. He's going to get burst. No way out of this one. Wiz tries to turn it around, but there's just not enough damage here.
You do have to think, Entomb comes back so quickly. It comes back in within a minute, so you do have to think of that every single minute.
They just really didn't want the snowball to occur with the next Web Weaver, and, you know, where it is, whether they wanted it or not, because that fight was won by Miracle. They're actually looking to try to trap these members, party bushing a little bit. Gunza's ready. There's the grab here, the taunt, the blizzard damage is real, right in the taunt. Baited into that trap, and Miracle makes this comp work so well.
Got that maximum damage off from Jaina, all the blizzard damage, all the QE. Even ETC is not enough. With the sound barrier on cooldown, they knew exactly what to do. Nasang could not really save him, of course, with no burst healing. Miracle is making this work. And so far, Jaina has been, I gotta say, better than Crazy moving in lots of ways.
I mean, we're in a different era. It's tough to really compare. Let's watch this fight though real quick. It's very close. It was Nasang to death.
Gondar is pushing in.
Good ring.
But that's not very perfect timing, and they're getting taunted. ETC will be the first one to blow up. No mosh pit.
This actually could be game over. Miracle gets the pick here onto ETC. Gul'dan is dead as well. Web Weavers are pushing these keeps. Nasang trying to get the speed boost over for Dudu to get back, but I just don't think there's much way to save this keep. They're gonna walk away with the short respawn timers here, heading maybe top with the poke that they have. Could grab boss instead of actually just trying to push that top keep. It's the easier play, it's the safer play, and this boss may actually allow them, because they have such good siege with the poke from Greymane's cocktails and Jaina's burst damage, they could actually knock this keep down if they push with the boss. They have that talent advantage, and most importantly, they have talents like Northern Exposure, which make it easier to burst. They have Alpha Killer. And what do you do as BlossoM now? The game has gone exactly to plan for Miracle. And we talked about how if they win a few tight fights, they can snowball things, and that's exactly what we're watching.
Entomb was a little bit too early. Miracle members were way too far up. There's a big
Triple
taunt coming in. If the Entomb came in right now, but a big silence, that's doing all the damage. They could not escape the damage coming out from Jaina. That was an insane combo.
We've seen so many of these combos with the Entomb, the Silence, the Ring of Frost, plus Taunt, which helps set it all up. This comp suddenly feels like is one of these cool comps we saw from Tempest yesterday, where you have the burst, you have these CC chains.
My goodness.
And Miracle is bringing it back.
Jaina in the meta. How long has it been, Wolf? I think we'll see a lot more Jaina in the next few weeks, maybe.
Yeah, it's been a long time since we've seen her this much. Only in niche comps, usually in Taiwan only. But this is going to be the core call here for Miracle. An easy first victory here. Had to struggle in the series up until this moment, but they're going to take game number 3, keeping their chances of survival alive in this second series of the night. It wasn't easy, and the comp was creative. They made it work, though. And finally, for the first time, we see smiles on the Miracle members' faces as the Jaina combo comp with Silence, as well as the Entomb there, the Ring of Frost, all together with taunts. It's so difficult to play around that. It looks like something that BlossoM hadn't dealt with before. And the early game went exactly as they planned. They ran around, got those ganks, they bullied Wiz, and for the first time, he couldn't make an impact on the game.
Yep, also Gondar was just lost from all the perfect timing of taunt. ETC could not really land on a great mosh pit all the time. It was cancelled most of the time, or else he was focused and died even before getting a chance to press that R button. This time, you can kind of see, depending on the front line, how the team fight starts. Basically, it doesn't even start, it ends right after one person died. It all starts from the front line. That's why Judy is actually shot calling oftentimes, especially in Korea. The front line or the tank player look for that initiation, and that's why he's the shot caller. It used to be crazy moving before, did not work perfectly, but right now after 2 games, after losing 2 games, maybe after that break he got some nice coffee, maybe he's not nervous anymore on the stage. It is a new setup here at VSL, but he is playing his best right now at set 3. That made the change for the entire team.
And you've got this comp that has 2 strong front liners because they went for the tank, Soul Laner, and the Yorick. that not only protect Jaina against Sonya backstabs, flanks, things like that, things that we could have seen, but they also chose Gul'dan, so slow damage, so they're never really going to get that burst. Every time Wiz tried to go in to get the angle on Jaina, was then caught by Garrosh, tossed in, and then killed, essentially. So good protection there coming through from Judy, basically peeling and playing the defensive Garrosh from the mid-game. Obviously, the early game was looking for picks. Mid-game, a lot more passive. And then you have this tank that works so well with the comp. So definitely a lot of thought process going into this one where they had thought a few steps ahead. And this was really well done. So map pick wasn't theirs, but they had the right comp for the map, and that's impressive. They had this plan just in case Tomb of the Spider Queen came into play.
That was nice, and they actually brought in Jaina. I wish we see a lot more Jaina. I guess because we're switching into the solo support again, we're all going around to 2015, 2016. The burst meta, we are bringing lots of burst damage. Jaina, I think we're going to see a lot more mages, maybe a lot more DPS, not damage over time, but a lot more bursty damage. I think that's also why we're seeing more Taikas now. And game number 4, we are going to Dragon Shine.